The security industry is more competitive than ever. More companies pop up, new competitors come into the market. How do you stand out from them? How do you actually win the contracts that matter the most? I've been doing this for 20 years, and today I'm going to share what works and what doesn't. Welcome to Security Insights with Arvind Dhillon, your bi-weekly deep dive into latest insight, strategies, and innovations in the security business. I'm your host, Arvind Dhillon, and today we're going to discuss the big topic of how to win the contracts that matter the most, the contracts that keep the lights on in your business and keep your employees employed. The industry is hyper competitive and it's becoming harder every single day. Over the last 20 years, I have learned one or two things that makes us stand out from the crowd, win over the competition, and be successful. So whether you're a security business owner or someone with a keen eye into security insights, this episode is for you. Let's get started.
Hi everyone, this is Sucha. Welcome back to Security Insights with Arvind Dhillon. So let's get started. Let's talk about the hunt. How do you actually find new clients for the cover security? Where are you looking?
Nowadays, it's not only at one place. Now, the customers come from all walks of life. We have the social media marketing, we have a website, we have the branding, we have the referral, very strong referral from our existing clients and employees that come to us. So it's not like 20 years ago where you had to put a um, ad in the yellow pages or ad in the newspaper. Now we feel that we have to touch point in so many different ways with the customers, then they come to us.
Let's talk about the hunt. How do you actually find new clients for cover security? Where are you looking?
So in 2026, it's very different from what we used to do in 20 years ago. Before, you will have an ad in the newspaper, maybe on yellow pages. That's all that there was. But now you have to touch clients on many different levels. Social media is huge in 2026. If you're not on a social media, you can forget about growing your business. Now you need to have a website. You need to have a strong branding behind your brand, email marketing. You have to be part of associations that you can go do the networking. And we even started in 2024. We even started going to the different conventions where we have a booth and we have our presence there as well. So our sales team is also very much involved in all this marketing. Then there's a good old ways of getting referrals from existing customers or for employees. That's also a very big win for us because we know that our employees stand beside us and also our existing clients.
Has your approach changed over these 20 years?
Yes, the approach is, I feel it has to change every few years. Like right now, we are um, email marketing to our existing clients and to possibility of a new client. We want to be in front of their eyes as much as we can be, whether that's through social media, through flyers into their office, or whether our sales team inviting them over for a lunch or a networking event at our office. We started to do that, and I think in 2026, the um, new market that we have to explore is showcasing our product or projects on the social media.
Proving your work and your quality, and it's always the multi-surface, right? It's not enough only one way as if it was enough before.
Yeah.
So, when you are looking for new clients, what are your main considerations? What makes a client worth pursue for you?
The main clients that we like to deal with is the ones with the uh, keen knowledge into the systems. We come across every once so often where um, it's they're not sure about the technology side of it, so they don't actually believe into it. If the you start off with the client where they actually don't believe in the technology, then you'll have a long pathway trying to convince them, right?
So,
And
it's not worth it for you.
we find the success rate is much lower. I know it's kind of controversial, but we don't really want to pursue those clients because it's time consuming, and the product that we want to install, they always want to. Um, they don't believe in technology, so they don't believe in our products, right? So
They
then
don't
we
believe in
always
the
have
quality too.
we have to um, guide them through the process, try to tell them about the technology. But if they grew up without any technology, they some people are just not want to understand the technology part.
So client needs to be ready and already in some kind of a level of this understanding the whole thing. It's not something you are getting someone totally new the whole industry, the whole thing. But specifically for larger amount of clients as in the property management, they need to be in some level of knowledge to work for you to pursue and give the full effort.
Yeah. The um, main resistance where we get is when we deal with the strata council members. So you will have a strata manager where they want to put in this new camera surveillance system or access control, but the people are on the council are not even with the technology change, right? So we find that, if there's two members on the team, maybe you on the council members, maybe you can pursue those clients. But if you see the majority of the owners are not with the technology or whatever you're trying to propose, they are against it from the get-go, we try not to pursue those clients.
Makes sense, absolutely. So is there a specific type of client right now you're actively pursuing?
Most of our clients is small to mid commercial clients that we love to work with them. The turnaround time is a lot lower. The business cycle is lower, and we can educate those people because there's not that many layers in the business, so we can educate the customer and close the deal in a shorter amount of time.
So are you looking actively for medium-sized commercial businesses or more like the property management strata people?
We have an arm that deals with the property managers, and but the sales cycle is much longer on those ones. So those are kind of our in our back pocket. That yes, we want to work with them because the sales cycle is longer. We have to have them in our pipeline, but where our majority of our focus is small to mid commercial, where we can finish the job in about 3 to 6 months, and we can close the deal.
It's in the first level, then you have the mid-sized commercial. The second level comes to property and stratas then. So have you ever turned down a prospective client? If so, why?
In my career, when I used to do the sales, there were only few of them. Most of them, uh, I couldn't meet their demand. They were always available after hours or on the weekends where I couldn't really service them. So that was the biggest issue where we had to drop those clients. This wasn't like that; they were purposely making up those hours, but the way their schedule worked didn't line up with our schedule, right? So that's the one thing we once in a while we do have to walk away from the customer where they're only available after hours. None of our technicians might not want to work, right? So it doesn't happen often, but it does come up every once in a while, or where integrity issue comes in. We want to make sure that our employees are treated well. We want to make sure our management is treated well. So if those are the kind of scenarios come up, then we would walk away. But mostly we don't want to walk away from our customers.
Yeah, so the two major things that makes you say no to a good client that isn't like money wise, number
Yeah.
wise, is the behavioral to the technician, also the hours, because their technicians are available in specific hours and they just need only after hours.
Only after hours.
So there are the two main things that you would say no.
That's right.
Is there any other things that you would say definitely no to a client?
I don't think we come across any other issues.
I see. So, if a brand new security provider, someone who started their company 6 months ago, and came to you and asked how to start finding clients in their local market, what would you tell them?
The very first thing I suggest anybody is to start showcasing their work on the social media. That's where they will connect with their family or friends, and build their network in that sense. And once they start to showcase their work online, and hopefully it's a good work. If you're doing sloppy work, nobody's going to come to you, right?
Oh,
And
true.
you have to be very professional. Always dress nicely. Always make sure that your logos are displayed everywhere. Make sure you're putting lawn signs or your not a billboard, but like small signs on the fences wherever you complete your job.
Signs, yeah.
That's how you build your network.
Okay, you found a promising client. Now let's talk about securing them. What does a typical contract look like for cover security? Walk us through the basics.
There's multiple steps that go down in that. First thing is we ask the client what they're exactly looking for, so we can scope out the work before we even go to the site. Usually, uh, most of the people that connect with us, they have one requirement: either they're looking for cameras, or they're looking for alarm system, or they're looking for access control. So that then our sales team can also figure out who's the best person to send out to that job site. If they're looking for access control, we want to send out the expert into the access control. After that's been done, then it gets assigned to a salesperson. Salesperson connect with the client um, and go to the site to do a site visit. And in during that conversation, we take it back into our office to our sales engineer. And then they design a system based on what was discussed between a client and a salesperson. After that, that's been done. Then the quotation is made, is generated by a sales engineer. Then we send it out to the client. At that time, our sales consultant, they will go through step by step item with the client. Usually, in that case, if they feel like it's out of their budget, they can cut down on some things, or if they feel like everything's okay, they will move to the next step. Then our office will generate a contract, service level agreement, or payment terms, and when we can start the job, how long the parts will take, and when we can finish the job. So all that discusses in before we even start the job.
So everything is laid out in the contracts, service proposals, and the pricing details as a whole documentation that this client is informed.
Yeah. So the client is informed, client has to sign off on all the documents, and the deposit is usually has to be received before we go out to this, before we even schedule the job. So there's quite a bit of a process that we go through before we actually go to install the job. That saves our all those steps has to be followed, and there's a lot of different departments that are involved in that, uh, into a job. So, but we have a set standard that, once the accounting is finished with it, then it goes to the warehouse person to order the part. Or, sometimes the customer didn't sign off on it. Customer is on a vacation, but if they are on a vacation, we can't really order the parts or put it into our schedule.
Got it. And how does it differ than other companies, this process?
Um, so a lot of the smaller companies, as I uh, we discussed in other episodes, that the owner is doing everything, right? So they might not have a proper system set up. They might not have a contract that they get the client to sign off on, or they might not take the deposit, right? So uh, everybody has their own way of doing the job, but the proper way is to make sure everything is documented. Every department is in compliance to our rules. So that is the only way it would. Because if you are want to scale the business, or if you are um, and you have lots of jobs coming in, you want to make sure that every job is accounted for.
Does this process change depend on the client? Like, let's say, for example, you are negotiating with a small business owner, very small local shop versus a like mall.
The process stays the same, but on the client end, there might be more than one person. If it's a small business, it's usually the shop owner that's involved. He's signing off on all the documents. He's the one that's doing the walkthrough. But if you're looking for a shopping mall like the one we're doing out in Victoria, um, there is so many different departments that the shopping mall owner has, right? So they have to go through their compliance, and their legal team has to look at everything. And or same thing on our end, it's not only our office management that's deciding this, and our lawyers have also have to look at revise the contracts as well.
It's a lot longer process
It's
then.
the sales process is much longer in that case.
Okay. So this might sound like a random question, but I overheard you and Jess discussing how to train newer employee on negotiations. So how do you approach to them? So when do you let employees rather than management team or salesperson get into the process?
uh, Depending upon which department they work for. If it's if they're into the sales team, then we like them to shadow us, because we don't want them to overpromise or underpromise on a job. So that the shadow time can be anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Some people need it longer, some people need it less, depending on what industry they came from. So that is a little bit of we have to hold their hands, per se, you can say that. But for the most part in the office, we have everything documented, that if someone's new employee comes in, if they're not understanding something, they can refer back to their manual.
And they are mainly sales team. You are mentioning all these people are only our sales team, correct?
The other departments have also has to be like the accounting team. They need to know, make sure that the credit card isn't expired credit card. We have that happen to us sometimes, where the customer wrote down the credit card number, but the expiry date was already passed.
Sales doesn't check that.
Sales doesn't check that, right? So that is the accounting person's job. So it's a little details that matter the most, but if the person is trained, they're looking for the same thing in every contract, right?
Does your technicians, like lead technicians, involve to this process before the job is like contracted, like before that negotiation process of it?
Not generally. You might have one or two jobs a year that requires a technician to go out before we even quote the job, because it's a tricky job, or it's harder for our business development person to know how many hours it will take, or whatever we're trying to propose is actually going to work. Because sometimes there's cameras we're putting out 1,000 feet away, and there's no line of sight, and there's a lot of trees in the way. So in that case, you will involve the technician, but most of the part we don't. We necessarily don't want to involve the technician.
Yeah, understand. So, but there are still salesperson, accounting, sometimes technician involved. What happens one of these employees makes a mistake? How it's handled?
Uh, Mistakes happen all the time. It's not. It- we are all human beings. There, it happens, but we have a different checkpoints for different departments that 99% of the time we catch those mistakes. Um, the reason we have those checkpoints is exactly like we don't want to be making the mistakes on people's contracts, right? But mistakes do happen. We all forget one way or the other. Um, but there is different checkpoints. Yes.
How do you involve to those issues, negotiations, internal errors as a partner, as a CEO right now? You are not as much in negotiations as before.
No, I'm not directly involved in any of the direct negotiations. Uh, the only time I will get involved in is if the jobs, like the government jobs we're bidding on, the jobs are supposed to last us 2 years to do the job. In that sense, the sales team and my partner, they reach out to me, but otherwise, most of the jobs they handle it.
All right, let's get into competition. Just from your experience, how competitive is the security industry in BC right now?
Security industry is very competitive. Um, as you move up the ladder into a bigger jobs, it gets less and less. But if we were to look at just the residential part or a small commercial, mom and pop stores, it's very super competitive.
And walk us through what a highly competitive contract looks like, step by step, from first contract to final decision.
The usually the basic contracts we have is we're uh, selling a four four camera surveillance kit because recently BC government had a rebate on if you're installing a security system, then you get a rebate on it. So we created a basic system kit that was just a plug and play. So you basically you're closing the deal on the phone. You don't want to be you don't have time to go to the job site and do a proper walkthrough. You will just uh, sell the system on. You will check it out on Google, see what the building looks like, and then you sell them the same system to thousands of those clients, and then the technician will go in and install the system. That is fast, very price sensitive, very quick turnaround. Usually they just had a burglary or their neighbor had a burglary. Usually it's those clients, right? But if you were to go into any of the custom smart homes, then again, you have to invite the clients over to your showroom or to your office, show them what can be done, sometimes do the presentation online. Um, Sometimes it's even a two, three different presentations that you have to do. Um, and then all come up with this custom system for those homeowners. So it's a total different way of doing the business depending upon which client you're working with.
So it is a lot more competitive than because of the larger scale of project. Clients are looking for more security installer companies. So now you're trying to prove yourself a lot more, right? So if we are talking about a competitive contract, so if we are into the, let's say, smart home systems in that scenario, so the client is also always comparing you to the other option.
um, yes, 100% of the client. So the biggest reason that or the biggest chances you have to win over is if your presence on social media is right, your website is right, your uh, office stands out when they visit your office. How did it make them feel? Then the track record that we've been in business for 20 years. Though everything, it's not solely on a price point anymore. People are also want all those additions to the job as well. Because if you're spending $2-3 million on a new custom house, you don't want um, someone with a van that does the job and you can't find them 3 months down the road. in a technology, you never know when things can go wrong, so you always need to be in contact with your provider, right?
So those items that is someone that they can rely on in the long term is the parts that make you win the contract.
100%. It's very, very important that most of our contract that we're writing, we're also offering them a 36-month post construction service contract, so they have access to us after hours as well. And with our track record of last 20 years, people can say that we are going to be in a business for long term. Where if they're dealing with the with a one man show, they don't know for sure if that person's going to be here 6 months, a year down the road.
They don't trust the business, of course. So from smart home business, smart home like home construction perspective, I get it. But if you're talking about this huge commercial contracts or
No.
maybe government contracts, how is those processing now? There are now you don't have those small companies in competition. Now you are working and compete in competition with those your level of security companies, and then how do you beat that?
So in that sense, there's those are the little tricky ones because the pipeline or the sales cycle is very, very long. Yes, we have less competition there. There's not that many companies that will be bidding on the project, but that sales cycle is very, very long. Now there's a couple of them that we're dealing with. They came up. Uh, they already know the technology. They already know the system where they're gonna buy. They know the supplier. They know the brand. We have is how do we present ourselves. When I say how we present, how we write the contract, how we uh, fill out their framework, and how we price our system. That's all they're looking at us. So there's a different marks for every category. So usually the contract is between 5 to 8 categories. Well, price would be one of them. uh, how many employees you have, that would be second one. How long you've been in business with, and whatever technology that they're recommending, if you are a direct partner with them or not. So these are the some of the items that you get a points on, and if you can meet all those criterias, then you will win the award.
Let's say you have all the criteria, and there's one more company, they meet all criteria as well.
So if that is the case, then usually whichever company is the biggest on an employee base, because they would have had a better price from their supplier. So usually the supplier, then it comes down to the pricing it between you and the competitor. But usually where I would like to win are, I don't want to win on just on the price. I do want to win on the after service agreement, because that's where we stand out and shine the most. It's most companies, uh, companies cannot provide the after hours or after sales service. That's where our company grows.
You also mentioned in the previous question that's one of the things that you would say to a client no because of those after hours. But this is special because of a big contract.
Not necessarily. It's not like we just simply cannot provide after hour service to every client. If they have signed up for this agreement, then we provide that service. So usually, if someone's spending $2-3 million on their house, they got a control for system, they got a speaker system, they need that kind of service. Where they come home on a Friday night, um, they want to watch a soccer game or a hockey game, and now their system isn't working, or their Wi-Fi was when disconnected. Shaw or Rogers or Telus had some sort of a service in the area. Now everything is reset. Now that none of the lights work, none of the speakers work, so they need to know how to reset that system. So that's when we really shine. They just call into our office, and our technician will guide them through the process. or in some system even reboot the system for them, and then off they go, right?
So this is only for custom contracts then. So you would
Custom.
say a regular ongoing service client and no for this kind of a project, but you could onboard and set up this custom service for a specific special clients.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, then another question comes. This is a bit different. We talk about this huge contract that you are fighting over. Let's say you are feeling that 8-9 list that you mentioned for a contract, and the other company feels, then it comes to price, you say. So, but you don't know exactly what they price, what they did, what they did. So your only contact is the whoever is the contracting person in charge, maybe a project manager or property manager. We don't know, right? Do you ever find out who else is in that contract? Have it did ever happen to you?
Can you explain a little more?
So your competition, you are the two companies left in that huge contract competition,
Mhm.
and you learn who is the other person that you're competing against.
Sometimes we find out. The only way to find out is either from your supplier or when you do a walkthrough on the site.
You find them.
You can find.
Does it make any difference?
I don't think it makes a difference because look at it like we can't win all the contracts and we can't lose all the contracts, right? So same thing for the competitor. They can't win it all, they can't lose it all, right? So one way or the other, they're gonna win some, we're gonna win some, right? Then it's a small market in that sense. Like um, all the suppliers know each other, all the technicians know our technicians, all our managers know their managers, right? So
Technicians know their technicians.
yeah, and everybody's doing it to win it, right? We just can't win it all.
Okay, but the main concept here that we're talking is how you are beating these contracts,
Yeah.
right? Because you are doing it. So you're standing out all that checklists as a company. And now there are some other tricky parts you're trying to stand out.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a takeaway from this episode now, what will be the things of you telling that this is the way that I win my contracts through the years? That's what has been my system and structure.
I think it's setting up the system is the most important. Once you have a structure in place for all the departments, then it just makes your chances are much higher to win those contracts. It's up till you don't have those systems in place. Your employees are doing one thing, your technicians are doing another thing. The intercommunication fails within the company. That's when you're not set up to win these contracts.
You're gonna be internally prepared and a strong contracting process even before start the project. That will
Before
be the
you even
main-
start the project. Yeah. That's a wrap for today's episode. We covered a lot of information on this. None of this matters if you don't take action. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, and share it with your family and friends. Any thoughts or questions, hit me up on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Until next time, stay secure, keep your business growing, and we'll see you in the next episode.